Faraday presenta Ojos con Alergia y Picazón contra el jardinero. Y el ganador es Faraday Extra Fuerte. Para aliviar la picazón de los ojos por alergia, actúa más rápido y supera a Claritin y Flonase aún a las 24 horas. Faraday, adelante.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Now, this is a topic that very few people know anything about. We happen to have a gentleman who is one of the few Americans who has gone to Iran, visited the uranium enrichment sites, which is key to building a nuclear weapon. And his name is Joe Cirincione. He has more vowels in his name than I do. Vice Chair of the Center for International Studies and Board of Directors. He is a nuclear energy expert. Thank you very much for being with us, Joe. Help us with that question. Will we have destroyed their capacity? If we do destroy it, how long would it take them to build it back?
It's highly unlikely we can destroy the capacity, Governor, and thank you for having me on. And if we did, it would be a matter of a few years. Most people estimate 4 or 5 years before they could restore that capacity. And here's why. As you mentioned, I have been to Isfahan. I visited back in 2005. I was at a conference in Tehran on nuclear issues. Remember 2005. This was a time when there was a lot of talk of either moving on from our occupation and invasion of Iraq to take care of Iran militarily. And there was also talk of trying to negotiate some kind of deal. This was a time when the Iranians were willing to talk to us about this. Neither one of those things happened, but while I was there, the Iranian officials asked me and the several other Americans who were there at the conference with me to go down to Isfahan. And as far as I know, we were the first Americans to see this facility. This is a uranium conversion facility. It's where they take the milled uranium, what they call yellow cake, and combine it with a gas, fluorine, to turn it into uranium hexafluoride. That gas is then put into centrifuges, and over a period of weeks or months is slowly enriched. So you increase the quantity of, uranium-235 atom that goes pop when you hit it with a neutron. So that takes a few weeks. But what they've done is in the past 4 or 5 years since we pulled out of the agreement, since Donald Trump tore the agreement we had achieved in 2015, he tore it up in 2018. Since then, they built up their supply of highly enriched uranium, about 60% highly enriched uranium. And we think they have, according to the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, about 440 kilograms, about 1,000 pounds of this 60% enriched uranium stored at Isfahan. And here's why that's key. Because once you've got it to that level of purity, it only takes a few weeks to put it back through a cascade of centrifuges, a couple of hundred centrifuges, and whip it up into weapons grade. And that is the hardest part of making a bomb, getting that 90% enriched uranium. Once you have that, you don't have a bomb. This is a common confusion. The President of the United States seems confused about this, saying in 2 weeks they could have a bomb. No, they could have the material for a bomb. Our experts and our intelligence agencies generally believe it would take them many months, perhaps as long as a year, to then fashion that into uranium metal, form it into the core of a bomb, build enough of these devices so that they could test one of them, and then they would have and then try to test it, put it in on a nose cone of a missile. It might take 6 months, maybe a year to do that.
Yeah, but Joe, let me stop you for a second. Why?
Sure, sorry, I'm going too deep into it, sorry.
Oh, you're too smart for me. Why don't we blow up those facilities now?
Right. So when I was at Isfahan, it was all above ground facilities. And I thought, well, as soon as I went there, these are soft targets. I saw the air defense. I didn't think there'd be any problem for the U.S. Since then, over the last 10 years, they've done deep underground tunnels, deep 100 meters, 200 meters, too deep for even our most powerful conventional bombs to destroy, even the ones we've been delivering with B-2s back in June at Isfahan and Natanz and Bordeaux. So it's relatively safe. We believe the IAEA believes that 60% of its uranium is still there. So there's only two ways to get it. You either have to negotiate a deal where they give it up, and the Iranians indicated just 3 weeks ago they might be willing to do that, or you have to go get it militarily. But the military option is extremely difficult, and if you'd like, I can walk through why that's so.
No, that's a non-starter. They're not going to put boots on the ground in Iran, especially at this point. He's looking to get out. But, Joe, how do we get out if, after everything we've done, what have we accomplished if in 4 years they can have a nuclear weapon? What was it all about? 4 years? That's all we bought?
Well, that's exactly right. That's why the Department of Defense in the initial stages of the war described some fairly achievable objectives. Degrade the nuclear capability. We can certainly do that. Degrade the missile capability. We've certainly done that. Destroy their navy. We've certainly done that. Those are achievable military objectives. We've accomplished them. But the two that the president keeps talking about, prevent them from ever getting a bomb and regime change, those are extremely difficult to do. I would say impossible to do from the air. So that's the dilemma the president is in. Can he just declare victory and say, okay, we set him back a few years? Or is he going to hold out for some bigger win, opening up the Straits of Hormuz, seizing the oil facilities at the island facility that they have, or seizing the highly enriched uranium? All of those are extremely difficult missions, and particularly the ground forces in either seizing the island or seizing the uranium almost certainly would entail dozens of American soldiers dying in the attempt.
Yeah, but Joe, let's stay with this for a second, because look, the president needs a win, right? You can't just walk away without a plausible argument for a victory. Now, Colonel said, and you heard the previous segment, the Colonel said, the president's very good with rhetoric, and that's true, but you have to have something. Well, we reopened the Strait of Hormuz. That's nothing. That's nothing. It was open before. You accomplished nothing if they reopened the Strait of Hormuz. Well, we tried regime change, but the people didn't want it. All right, so you didn't accomplish that either. And we degraded everything, the whole military operation. But somehow they're sending missiles further than they've ever sent them before.
Yeah.
And they can build a nuclear bomb in 4 years. How do you explain that to anyone?
That's exactly right. And this is why no previous U.S. president has done this. Ronald Reagan didn't do it. H.W. Bush, W. Bush, Obama, Clinton. No, they didn't do that, because as you play this out, the majority opinion of national security experts is that this is not a winnable mission. You can't win this. And you can see what's happened. We've achieved tactical success, but we're now at a strategic disadvantage. Iran holds the cards. They're able to block the Straits of Hormuz. I don't believe there's a military solution to that, at least at a price we're willing to pay. They've got the nuclear material. It's almost impossible to get that militarily. So they now have the strategic advantage. And this is why previous presidents didn't enter into this, because it's a no-win war. Yeah. President Trump is stuck in it like a fly on flypaper.
I love that. I love that metaphor, and we'll end it there. Joe, thank you so much. You really brought light to this subject and answered questions that I know many people have been talking about and thinking about for a long time. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be with you.
Thank you, Governor. Thanks for having me on.